Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here on the Gold Coast and on holiday, and I took this opportunity to meet Ian. So Atto Free Owner, isn't it? Your channel?
That's my channel, yes.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I'm a bit of a fan of your work, Ian. You've explained everything to me that I'd forgotten that I needed to learn about the car. So thanks very much for all your hard work.
I'm a fan of your channel too.
Oh, there you go. That's good. So, yeah, the reason why I'm up here to meet Ian is I want to ask him some questions about why am I the only crazy person who wants to buy the Atto Free? So, Ian, why did you think the Atto Free was the best car for you?
I wasn't even in the market for a car, to be honest.
Yeah.
My son bought a Tesla Y
Yeah.
that I thought was a crazy thing to do because it's an electric car.
Mm-hmm.
And he convinced me to take it for a drive. He brought it up here and convinced me to take it for a drive.
Yep.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
So it's a driving experience. So it's a really good driving experience. The problem I had with the Tesla Y is, so I'm a software developer,
Mm-hmm.
and there's always been this, Android versus Apple type thing, and the Tesla Y felt to me like an iPhone, and it felt like an iPhone on wheels. So I had to do whatever iPhone, in this case Tesla, told me to do.
Yep.
And I was prepared to live with that because I've got an iPhone.
Yep.
But what I found the Atto 3 is it drove just as well.
Mm-hmm.
It had probably, maybe not as much space,
Yep.
but certainly had space. And it felt like I'm going to say a real car. It didn't feel like an iPhone.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's why I bought it.
Yeah, so BYD, I think, have made it so it's an easy transition from an ICE car to an electric car, where Tesla is like some people say you have to relearn the way you drive the car because it's something foreign and completely different. So I think in that respect,
I think that's a good way of putting it. I think you've nailed that. That's exactly what it is.
So Ian, so that leads me on to my next question. So we know that the Tesla software is, I've seen it. It's fantastic. It's superior and everything like that. So, do you think BYD is going to get to the stage where they're going to have to improve their software do you think what's the plan for the future with the BYD cars? What do you think they're going to do with their software?
So the generic software is not all that clever, of course. But you've got to break the software down into two parts. One is the self-driving and the intelligent part of the driving. Yeah. And one is the functionality. Mm-hmm. So I think Elon Musk will always be ahead of everybody with the intelligence. Yeah. I mean, I think the guy's, to be honest, I think he's an alien. He's just so smart. Yeah. And he's driving that intelligent driving side. They don't seem terribly enthused about the user experience because they're telling the user, look over there and everything. I think where BYD can improve their act is the user experience. So I don't think the user experience is up to scratch. Can they improve that? Of course they can. They've got to sit in the car and look at it as though they are driving it. As we've spoken before, when you're driving, there's certain things you need to know. You need to know that you're within the speed limit. You need to know what the speed limit sign is. What the speed limit is for that. And you need to know what's going on as far as your cruise control and lane control goes. The BYD experience, so that should be prominent. Now you also need to know what level of charge you've got and how much range you've got left. There's two issues there. Firstly, they don't tell you, they don't make it obvious. They make it very difficult for you to see what the current speed limit is. Yep. They make it very difficult to do your cruise control. Mm-hmm. And the big text they've got, which is your current battery level and your distance, is very big. But more than that, it's very wrong. It's not even close. So all of that is software.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, given the knowing how much you've used, and given it's an easy calculation. It's an easy calculation. So
yeah. So
that's
like I told you before, in the way I do it, if I'm leaving on a full battery, I know 200%. I know that I'm going to get 200 k's out of the first 50% of my battery, and then the next 50%, I know I'm not going to get on a road trip. I know I'm not going to get 400 in the city. Yes, but on a road trip, I know I'm not going to get 200. So that's the way I don't aim for that. Once I'm getting to 300 k's, I'm going to start charging.
In my old car, when the petrol went down, it told me how far I had to go.
Yeah, right.
And it was right.
Yeah, sure.
All I'm asking for it is to do the calculation so it's right.
Yeah.
And if they could make the speed limit and cruise control bigger riding and
So what you're saying to me is that the software is probably could be improved, and it can be improved because we're using over-the-air updates, so they can basically they could almost do a Tesla if they really wanted to. They could load Tesla's software onto the car and have perfect software, but they could get to that level of investment.
So when it comes to the intelligent driving, Tesla's using neuron networks and all sorts of things, which the CPU size and all that within the BYD just couldn't handle.
Yeah, sure.
So the infrastructure, if you like, or the CPU is not equipped for that. But as far as user experience goes, has no problem.
Yeah. So the way I look at it is that I've bought a car that can be constantly upgraded. So if I'm not 100%, I'm not really, certain things bug me, but I know in the future that can be improved. Where if you get a car that doesn't have over-the-air updates, that may not happen.
Oh yeah, sure. I think that's happening quite a bit. But there's a difference between the ability to do something and the willingness to do it.
Yeah, but as BYD grows, and if they want to, I think Australians are pretty easygoing when it comes to software, but I think the Europeans are really criticising the BYD software a lot more. So if they want to be successful in that market, they're going to have to lift their game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. They also, when I talk about user experience, you need to be able to selectively pick what sound you get.
Yep.
Like, a lot of people say that it's beeping all the time.
Yep.
Well, if that's the way you drive and it's not dangerous, you could probably turn some of those beepings off. I mean, there's no reason why you can't.
Yep.
There's no reason why it has to be there.
Yep.
Anyway, that's my view.
Yeah, so my next question would be about one pedal driving. Why does everybody seems to want to have one pedal driving? Why do you think BYD don't offer that? I know MG they offer it now in the MG where they didn't have it before, just purely via software upgrade.
And that's all it is. So that's all it is. It doesn't take much at all. I think it's a policy thing and a differentiation thing that it's got with Tesla. Mm-hmm. It's saying, okay, you've got to drive like a golf cart. And we don't do that.
Yeah.
But, I like one pedal driving. Mm-hmm. And...
well, I just drive mine on high regen all the time. But so I know that one pedal driving, most people think it's efficient. It's actually not as efficient as letting the car, because when you're converting energy, there's always a loss. So if you don't convert energy, then the car's actually more efficient. So you, believe it or not. That's my take on it. But
and also you got different driving styles. Some people are always playing with the accelerator, and they'll make you seasick if you have pedal driving.
Yeah. And just not coming from, because I live in Sydney, I'm just curious to know what charging infrastructure exists around the Gold Coast and the Brisbane area. Do you think it's adequate, or how are you finding the infrastructure in where you live?
Just outside, I got my car parked right next door to my home charger.
Yep.
That I use. So I don't really use the outside one much. However, at Pacific Fair across the road, there's a lot of chargers over there.
Yep.
And there are chargers around. There's a lot of EVs up here.
Yep.
So I'd imagine that it's pretty good.
So you've had no issues. Say for instance, Brisbane's only 150 k's away, so you wouldn't need to charge or anything like that. So on the journeys that you've done around your area, you've had no issues with finding charges or. Yeah.
I've had the only time I've ever need to use external charges was going to Sydney and back.
Yep.
So I haven't really used it.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned your this is a big issue with the Atto free. Everybody thinks this is a big issue with the Atto free. You mentioned you changed to Continental tyres. I just want to get your true perception about how you think about the Continental tyres. What was your opinion about changing the tyres?
So I watched all these road trip people, not road trippers in yours, but where they do their test driving, and they all unanimously said the tyres are really horrible and all that. So I got in the car and I thought it drives okay, but I really should get these proper tyres, because I got a lot of stuff on my car, like I got the treatment, the paint treatment, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll spend $995. So what I did was, there's a couple of on-ramps, and when you flatten it going up one of these on-ramps, it kind of did that, right?
Yeah, it swerves a bit to the left and to right, the torque steer.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, I'll get these tyres, it won't happen.
Yep.
I got the tyres and it did. So absolutely no difference. I mean, no offence to Continental tyres, but no.
Yeah.
So I think the reason people don't like Batman is because they're called Batman.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of companies make some really fantastic tyres. Is there going to be a difference? Sure, it's going to be a difference. Are we only be able to perceive it? We don't know. In your case, you haven't been able to perceive the difference.
So with tyres with EVs, it's different.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a low profile, a low width, as low as possible.
Yeah.
Because of wind drag.
Yep.
But you've got to have maximum rubber on the ground.
Yep.
So they need to be flatter.
Yep.
So therefore wears more.
Yep.
Therefore it has to be stronger rubber. So all those factors have to be played into. From looking back now, I think Batman have actually done a pretty good job of it. And I think the reason why, this is not my area, but I really think the reason why Seal have bought out the Continental was purely because of the people who do the road tests.
Yeah. So I used to have a front-wheel drive V6 car, and it used to chew through tyres in less than 20,000 Ks. And now I've done 20,000 Ks on my Batman tyres.
Have you done 20,000 K?
Yep, nearly there, about 17, I think. And I looked at the tyres and they don't ever look like they're worn. And the last set of tyres on a high-performance front-wheel drive car, they were chewed, but in 20,000 Ks. So I'm thinking, and I've heard reports that they're going to get, some people have got 50,000 Ks out of these tyres. So I'm thinking, there's no way I'm changing the soft compound tyres.
So when the guy took my Batman tyres off, he said, "Oh, do you want me to keep them for you? Like whatever." Oh no, I wish I had them now because because when my Continental run out, I'll put them back on again. But anyway.
Yeah. All right, Ian. So I'm just thanks for your input today on the Atto free, and what do you think the future of BYD is going to be in Australia or in the world of cars?
Oh, they're going to be huge. They're going to be one of the biggest. Certainly from what I can see, they're going to be the biggest in the world as far as car makers go. And why do I say that? Because they make extremely good gross profit. Mm-hmm. They've got all the infrastructure in place for the manufacturing of the new breed of car. Mm-hmm. They're doing things like buying ships to move their cars around the world. Yeah. Who else does that? So that's the vertical integration. So, I'm a big fan of BYD. I'd like to get hold of the manager of their software department, but you kind of have a bit of conversation with him. But no, I mean, there's no doubt about BYD. It's there. The only thing that can go wrong is if they do something stupid.
Yeah, sure.
And I can't see them doing that.
All right, so that concludes our interview today. I hope everybody enjoyed that, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you could hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we can bring you some more interesting content in the future. Thanks for watching.